I was smoking and you were, oh, this is going to go poorly, let's do this shit. Alright, are you drunk?
Magic powers activated!
Magic fucking, oh fuck. Alright guys, before we start this thing, I had promised a very close friend of mine. Pandez wishes he could be here, something happened last moment. He really wanted to surprise everybody, he does apologize. Yeah, legitimately 1 hour of packing away from being able to drive up here with me.
Oh, come on!
Yeah, it was so close.
This is 2018, this is the future, we're in the transporter.
Okay, stop, no, this is not the future.
Yes, it is.
Flying cars have been disproven.
Yes, it is. No, people can get fired over Twitter. This is the future.
We met Trump. Everyone should be fired over Twitter. I should stop now.
I'm in Fargo right now, which is
Oh, I don't want to hear about him. I come in like
Dougal, are you okay? You're not supposed to fit in that shape.
What did I do? I don't remember giving you a bunch of drinks.
Or Xanax.
Hold on! Ladies and gentlemen, there's only one way to introduce the gentleman standing at the end of the row.
There is no gentleman standing at the end of the row.
Are you angry at me?
Not yet.
Oh, good. Then let's do the Imperial March. Ba 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 Oh, I'm into this. Yell out your name, belt it out. Let's do this. Who are you?
37 years in fandom, and this is the treatment I get.
Hold on. 37 years in the fandom is amazing, but I want to give you guys a number that blows my mind. Years in the fandom, for lack of a better term, guys. I do apologize. Fandom leadership. How long have you been running these conventions for now?
I ran
Furry for 37 years.
I ran my first department for a convention in February of. You really want to make me say this number?
Yes, I do.
1978.
I'm sorry.
Come to my senses. Okay, I'll go with my standard introduction. Hello, my name is Charles. I run cons.
Are we treating this like an AA?
It has been 37 years since my last spare weekend. I have not chaired a con in 10 years.
Are you 10 years out from chairing?
From chairing a con, it's been 10 years.
Guys, that's a 10-year chick. Give it up for this guy.
Maybe I can fix that. Anything got a problem with leadership? Wait, no.
Yes!
No.
Now here's a better question. Here's the one I love. Giza.
What?
When I think of con operations, there are only two names that come to mind. That is Ed Hyena and Giza. Giza is part of con operations staff or director at more cons than I can count. And here's my favorite part. Dude, how many conventions do you chair at?
Well, I only technically chaired one con.
And what con was that?
That was the con for the Dorsai regulars. It was an invite-only con. It was a relaxed con. It was in Philadelphia. It was a 20-minute commute, and it was great.
So this son of a bitch showed us that he knows what he's doing, yet he has not chaired a con. Can we all take a vote right now, because this is how it works in the fur community? He just chairs every con next year. We cool with that? Everyone?
Yes!
Yeah. A lot of cons are about to get some really weird emails.
I'm going to follow you.
Yeah, you're allowed.
Just say no, kids. Just say no.
All right, let's start with my favorite one. Let's go with this. Both of you. So hold on. I just want to get this number out there. So every once in a while, especially running, both of you know this. Sometimes you get a convention. You get a panel suggestions like, I would like to run the nuclear physics panel. Okay, what do you know about nuclear physics? Like, I know how to pronounce nuclear. Like, no, you don't. So here we go. What was your years in convention service right now? 30. Yeah. Okay. So 30 plus your years in convention service.
So I started in 2000. So this is year number 18 for me. Wow, open up the vote.
Please do.
And I've done something stupid, and I've got 15 years under my belt. Some of those as a convention chairman, which this guy is next in line for. He just doesn't know it.
I don't even attend your con, asshole.
Don't need to. I'm just gonna send you an email that says, "Hey, here's a bunch of notes. It's the same information I know. Fuck you."
And you only need 2 cards for that.
Before I love you too. Before I keep swearing and these guys keep swearing, anyone 21 and under? Fuck that. 18 and up? Fuck that. 16 and under?
No, actually, con rules. 18 and under. This is an adult panel.
Listen to him.
You're going to hear things you don't want to know. You will learn things that will give me nightmares from me. So if you are easily shocked or offended and do not want to know how the sausage that is con making happens, leave now while you still can. You have no excuses, young man. I've met your children.
Oh my God, wait a minute! You're my friend now! We improvise together!
That's why she's smart enough to leave.
No, she's getting me a pizza.
I figured
This is getting really weird.
Are you security at this convention?
Operations, yes.
Oh, it's so much worse, your operation!
He's on my side. Don't piss.
Pause! You are...
$10 I can be bought.
Please, go. Oh, hold on, we're buying this. Okay, so this is how much we waste for charity so far. Actually, that might be better towards you. All right. So, that's the wonderful thing. Conventions do not survive without security. Ever. There is a rule that I have had. These guys have similar rules with their crew. I've been working with the Dorsai regulars for almost all of my years. Do you guys have a name for the security team over here?
It's a more flexible operation, but I've worked with some of the Dorsai. Mama-san and I knew each other back when I was still shaving.
Wow.
Oh
There's a
my
chin in
God.
here. Careful. Watch. Hey, move a little.
This is getting weird.
This is getting better.
Getting?
All right, so basically what I'm going for is we all rely on the chain of information that they never tell us. That's the beautiful thing about security. Security has a stream of jobs. Security has a spectrum of jobs. But security has one job above all others. That is, when they find out that something happened, they get to look at it and go, he does not need to know that. So, to the 2 of you, now I know you've been convention chairman of cons before, and you're high enough level at enough cons. This had to have happened at you. It happened at you. It happened at you. What is the moment you found out after the convention, after the con, that you went, what? What is your after-con moment that you guys found out?
Well,
Excuse me, I apologize.
do you want the short list or the long?
Just give us like the top 2.
Yeah.
Well, the top one was 2 guys giving each other a handy in the lobby at 4 a.m.
Oh, a 60-90.
No, it was hand jobs. It was more like a, I don't know, what, 34 and a half?
God damn it. All right, so
I'd
we've
like to
got.
make it clear I don't know any of these people.
I'd like
sure
to
you
make
don't.
it clear that we respect you so much that you're basically a mentor, Daddy.
Can you go get the paddle, Andy?
Could you get it on the double?
Oh no, you'll be getting it on the door.
This gentleman over here
Why
has
does he
more
think he can hand me a
stories.
straight line with any safety? I'll be honest with you.
Anything I do is straight.
Did you guys kick him out?
He's the head of operations.
No, he's not.
Basically in charge.
Okay, short story. We work a little differently in Minneapolis. It's a much more collaborative model. They don't let me go to bed peacefully at the end of the weekend. They tell me these things. Okay. There's an incident where someone did something silly and started moving some furniture onto one of the elevators, the little lobby benches. Okay. And while they were dealing with it, I said,
It's a good idea. Let's go do that.
No!
Carol, you look busy. What's wrong? She said, Mr. Chairman, could you go deal with something over in the north tower, other end of the building? Why? because there's nothing going on in the north. I got it, I'm out of here. Because one of the things when you're in leadership, one of the most important things you can do sometimes is shut up and do what your people tell you to do.
Yes.
And I found out that due to miscommunication, it became a game. Corey and one of his friends loaded all of the furniture onto the elevator until they were just a pair of Kilroys looking down through the narrow bit of the open door. And when someone from the hotel came to me and said, Charles, is there something going on with elevator 3? My honest answer was yes, but we've got a couple of troubleshooters on top of it. Later that same weekend, I got a call saying, Charles, there's someone who started a cauldron burning over in the pool courtyard.
What? I swear I wasn't there that year.
No, it was better. So I start walking over with two of the security people who, one of them knew there was something funny. The other was just following along because, this will be good. I don't know what it is. And I get over there, and over in the dance area where we did the photo shoot, there's this 20-inch cauldron. Giant black cauldron with steam coming out of it and rolling off the sides and onto the floor. And then I recognized the guy at it. No one knew that we knew each other. We were college roommates. A physicist friend of mine named Mike Laverty.
Oh my God.
In cloak and hood and just... So I decided, all right, I'm going to deadpan this. Okay. Hi, Mike. What's up? Oh, Charles, one moment. Grabs a Dixie cup. Ice cream? He had taken vanilla ice cream batter, and was pouring liquid nitrogen into it to freeze it. It was some of the best ice cream I've ever had. But I'm not freaking out. That was my job. I failed. But seriously, it's a great trick with ice cream.
I have a question for you guys. The con badges, they're pre-printed front and back.
Yes.
Have you ever had a con badge get fucked up? Like the blank, so every single... What?
We had a gentleman who took a name that got through the printers.
What?
I have permission from him to say this name at any panel that I go to.
Do it.
The gentleman is a very respected guitarist friend of mine. And you need to understand that he is African American. Because the name on his con badge that got through, not only the printer, not only the passer, but this was year 1, which means it got through our proof checker, who told me later, don't worry about it.
It'll be fine.
He's African American.
Yeah, you said
Oh no.
Badge name is?
Incognito.
Okay, that is not funny, but hilarious.
Oh, abso-fucking-lute.
Okay, so I'm not talking about attendee badge shape. I'm talking about the text on all of the badges.
I've never had that happen.
I had it happen.
I know you had it happen. Is it 2 years?
No, this is in 2005.
Oh, you can say this.
This is an Anthrocon 2005. Kaze Ghost Warrior came out, and it was this computer-generated furry movie, and it was amazing.
It's lovely work.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Probably on YouTube by now. And all the badges were, approved, and our registration director is making sure it said Anthrocon instead of Arthrocon, because, that's a common typo. And this is like 3 days before the con. We're all at Uncle Kage's house, and we're looking through the badges, and I'm looking on the back of the badges, and I'm reading the text, and I said to him, okay, so you have the URL for Kaze Ghost Warrior on the back, and he goes, yeah, and I said, why does it say Kage Ghost Warrior? And his face went white. And
That needs to be a story.
and
Someone get writing.
it was kageghostwarrior.net. And I said to him, do you know how to register a domain name? Because he better do that right now. And he did.
Good.
It was horrifying. It was like, 4,000 badges that were just misprinted.
See, and that right there, that weird lateral thinking is what separates the board members from the people who were smart enough never to become board members. Because you literally, okay, here's the next question. We're going with the weird one.
Oh no.
What was that moment? What was that moment that when it was over, you sat down in a chair and wiped your brow? What was that moment that when it was over, you were just experiencing total relief?
Philly cops.
Yes! Go for it, my friend!
When Anthrocon was back in Philly, we got a call over the radio. There are cops in the art show. And we're just like, what? And we all ran to the art show. And security had actually surrounded the cops on both ends, which is amazing because if they opened fire, it would have sucked. But, tactically, we'd outflanked Philly police. And we're just like, hi, what are you doing in our art show? And we're just like, and they lost their composure, like, we're just on patrol. This is normal for us. And we're like, bullshit! And,
Why are you in my art show?
yeah, and so they just walked out kind of awkwardly, as these things go.
So, I'm at a con in Des Moines, because what else does one do in Iowa? Apologies to any of you from Iowa in the room.
I agree.
There is a well-run science fiction con there called Demicon. It's been running for forever now. And they were in a hotel that was currently being remodeled. If you go to any con leadership and say your hotel is going to be in remodeling, you will watch them age 5 years before your eyes. This remodel did not go well. We had rooms that were unavailable, similar to what you had at Square last year.
Don't talk about that.
Okay. And we had spaces we couldn't use. We had to clear the construction equipment out of one of the ballrooms so that another couple that was having a wedding in the hotel that weekend could get their reception to happen. Okay, this was a disaster 9 ways from center. We had already determined with our lawyer what we were going to do. I was brought in to help with hotel.
I believe it. Yep.
And we got all of our people through the weekend. It's over. We're done forcing this hotel to actually do something. And we get in the car and we leave. And I get back to the friend's house we were staying at for a couple days before we came home. And we get a phone call. Turn on the news.
Oh no.
Not long after we left, someone, I to this day don't actually know who, had called, I can't remember the name of the county Des Moines is in, called the county building inspector, who walked in the building, walked around, looked around, and said, hey, that's a new wall they just put up, and there's a fire alarm on it. I wonder. And he goes to pull the fire alarm, and the entire unit falls off the wall because it's attached with blue tape.
Oh my God.
We ran a con in a hotel with no fire suppression.
Holy shit.
There were sprinkler pipes, they were empty. They weren't connected. There were alarms, they weren't wired. Okay? Needless to say, we never got a bill. Building inspector, and I shared this story later with other hotel managers, buildings of this scale and bigger. And they say this is the only time they've heard of it happening.
Wow.
Building inspector walks up to the front desk, puts his ID down and says, I need your general manager in front of me in 30 seconds, and please call all of your hotel guests. They're checking out now.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
This is the one case, I've been at this for years, this is the only case I've heard of city inspectors closing a hotel.
I've never heard of that until
It took them
That
8
is-
months to reopen that
I
hotel.
believe it.
Wow.
Because they also had to sell it, and there were prosecutions, and yeah. And I realized, my God, the danger our people were in. You know, I want the same number of you people who come in here to walk out of here safe. That is what will make me have nightmares.
Charles, that's legitimately horrifying. It's not even con related. I work in the tallest building in Philadelphia, and
Yeah.
like we got partnerships with the Philly Fire Department, Philly Police, the
Yeah.
Philly Office of Emergency Management.
Yeah, no,
and-
I have had nightmares about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, that is
The
just.
doors, I'm sorry, what's the name of your security team? Security?
Operations.
I'm sorry, operations. Operations is the lifeblood of a lot of conventions.
And now, Andy, knowing that I know where you live, do you have a story you'd like to tell?
No, but I have something I want to tell the audience.
What?
We just had over the radio net that in the rave, not 5 minutes ago, we had a marriage proposal and an acceptance.
Drunk staff, starting with, I love you, fire alarm.
I love love you, Hold on, are you making me tell you I love you, fire alarm?
My favorite story.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Drunk stand.
Is this stairway of appreciation?
This is Panda's appreciation. Alright, I'm gonna do this one seated because I am drunk as shit. Alright.
Shocker!
Oh, shut the fuck up. I love you too. I love you, fire alarm. So when you're on programming staff for as long as I've been, like this gentleman over here,
I had nothing to do with it.
no, you had nothing to do with it. This gentleman over here runs conventions. This gentleman over here runs operations like a fucking machine. I run programming and every once in a while a convention because I'm stupid. So when I run programming, that means you have to create new panels. It's a big part of running programming. And one year, a long time ago, fucking long time ago, I started the panel MST3K, now known as Mistake. The idea was this: if you've never seen Mystery Science Theater 3000, that is that the performers sit in front of a screen and make fun of the movie on the screen. It took us about 5 minutes to realize why that wouldn't work, and that was because we were in front of furries. Furries are goddamn geniuses. We didn't need to say a fucking thing, but we had prepared, especially Pandas. Pandas, when we told them we were going to do this panel, watched the entirety of Battlefield Earth.
Oh, God damn it!
Front to back.
This is why he drinks.
Oh, yes. And made notes. The weekend before the convention, he watched it again. And then there we were.
Gotta get him a girlfriend.
Really? Really? There we were, sitting in front of Battlefield Earth. We watched about 20 minutes of the movie before we realized that we didn't need to riff on the movie. We didn't need to do anything because of you. The genius that was the audience. We were outshadowed, outclassed, and we already had booze, so why would we need to talk? Well, I'm a programming director. I've always been programming. And the one thing I realized very quickly is it's a fun panel, but there's no reason to have panelists. I have 5 people up here with me. We need something to do. And Des came up with the idea. Holding a mostly full bottle of Captain Morgan's rum. And Des said, why don't we turn it into a drinking game?
And this is why we don't do alcohol panels.
This year.
Oh, funny you mentioned that, because when we did this...
Finish your story.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
No,
He's good.
so when this was happening at Anthrocon, this is Friday night this past year.
Okay.
No, Thursday is when I
Was
did
it
all my
Thursday?
alcohol. Thursday. I submitted all my alcohol panels Thursday
Okay.
so that Kage couldn't bitch about me for being during the con.
So-
because opening ceremonies is Friday, I win.
So, Thursday night, this is happening, and Thursday was a rough day for me, and it's like
Yeah, it was.
11 o'clock, and I'm just like, I'm gonna go to bed. But I walk down the hallway to Allegheny, and I walk into the back, and I'm just like, I'm gonna watch what this is. Well, here's the problem. Red triangles on white is highly fucking visible from like a mile away.
Yeah.
And Dixie sees me from stage, and she runs down, she runs up to me, she grabs me, and she pulls me up on stage, and I drink with you assholes.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Yeah, that next morning sucked.
How many of you think being con leadership is glamorous? How many of you
Oh,
thought
I
that
wanna
before
see
this
that.
panel?
I wanted to see a hand. I
They're
have enough
smarter
ping
than
pong
that.
balls here to kill you.
Okay.
Kill me.
No. We're gonna... Don't throw balls when drunk.
My bad.
I heard that, and I think both of the objects were hollow.
Excuse me, what the shit?
Thank you.
Sean, let's have a minute.
Once again, I'd like to be very clear. I don't know these people.
I don't know you anymore.
So,
I'm
there
sorry.
we were.
Standing on top of the Westin.
Delayed reaction, sorry.
Standing on top of the Westin in Chicago, standing next to a concierge who leaned over and said, "Charles?" "Yes, Tom?" "There are fire trucks all over the parking lot." "Yes, Tom." "Most of my attendees are out there and they're telling me not to leave the upper floors of the hotel." "Yes, Tom." "Charles, is my hotel on fire?" "I don't think so, Tom." That was the wrong answer. Yes.
Do you remember the second half of that party? After everyone...
I don't know a short way to tell it. I don't want to get into details because it's lots of technical crap to make them
No, it's not
understand.
no.
But basically, the hotel effed up.
No, besides that. So after everyone came back in, Duncan puts his hand to his ear, he's getting ready to call, he goes, and he looks at the rest of us and he says, "Yeah, there's a fursuit puke dispenser in the lobby." It was a fursuiter puking out of their mouth. Just to clarify.
In the lobby?
The glamour of con running.
So it's just out of their muzzles.
I'd rather the fursuit be colorful myself.
Oh my god. No, if you want to puke colors, tequila and sushi is the way to do that.
Okay, buddy, I dated Jack Daniels for most of the year, and I'm not that stupid.
Tequila is by far my favorite drink, and I can tell you from the bottom of my heart,
Liver.
tequila and
Liver. That's
bottom
not
of
your
my
heart, that's your liver.
Tequila and sushi do not mix.
Well, they mixed for me, they didn't mix for my drinking buddy. And she
I'll
just
take
ran
care
to
of
the
you
bathroom
tonight.
and she's like, "Ugh."
The moment this panel is over, Pepper is showing up, and I'm getting that boy so drunk that he can't perform tomorrow.
"You monster."
I'm not a good
Does that mean we're
person.
putting you up on stage to sing? Yes!
And he has cheated me
In
by
the out-
forcing me to decide upon the men that I idolize, or the hands of an automaton.
I have a costume in mind for him.
Oh no.
Madam Butterfly.
So anyway,
So there we were at the very first showing of MST3K, aka Mistake. We turned it over to the audience to make fun of the movie because they got it. They didn't need us. But here's the problem with that. We were panel runners. This is myself, Pandez, Roxas, Todd. These were the leadership of IFC at the time. And this is the first time that they had performed on a panel with me. And Pandez, go.
no.
Yeah,
No,
good
there's a
move.
performance joke, I can't.
You're so nice to me.
For
Well, shut up.
Okay.
Pandez is the one who looked over to me and said, "Could we turn it into a drinking game?" Took about 5 minutes. MST3K from then and to this point is, if you come up with a drinking rule, one person at the table has watched the movie. In this case, it was Pandez. Pandez had seen Battlefield Earth 3 times. Because he's an idiot and I love him.
Brain damage.
It definitely did, because Pandez started accepting money for drinking rules, but the problem was he was drinking along with us, which is why now the rule is the judge does not drink. Pandez collected a little over $500 or $600.
Oh, shit. That's just a
He
handful.
almost died. There's a rule that we always equate to the very first MST3K, and that is center screen wipe. The movie Battlefield Earth has a scene that goes thusly. Son,
Yes, Dad?
I remember the time you died. Center screen wipe. Gun pointed at father and son fires and hits father. Son, if only I could remember center screen wipe. Goes to the son. I will avenge you. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Bang, center screen wipe. Bang, center screen wipe. Bang. And this is the end of the scene. Center screen wipe.
You're saying this is a bad movie.
What's I just hear?
I don't know, but we had to drink for all of it.
What you just heard is what William Shatner thought would be a good movie. Thank you.
Well, Pandez Pandas, our judge. The reason that we no longer let the judge drink. The movie ended and I stand up the way I normally do when we end a panel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. And I'd like to thank you, and I'd like to thank all of our panelists. Here's this person, here's this person, here's Pandas, and Pandas looks like this.
And later that night, we offered him a chance to become a con chair.
He accepted.
Beware demon drink, my children.
It was a good night.
Actually, I've used "Do you want to be con chair" as a sobriety test.
Oh, that's a good sobriety test.
The time lapse between asking the question and this is how we measure the sobriety.
We need more booze in this room, by the way.
No, we do not.
Oh.
Yes, we do.
Would you like some rum?
First of all, there's plenty of booze in this room. It's all in your liver right now.
You can't prove shit. Yes. So, we're about to get booze. So, finally.
Not during a panel.
Oh, really? Oh, no, never mind. Okay. Sorry, my bad. So, no, you're cool. I did not know my bad. So, there we were. End of the panel. I thank the audience. I thank the panelists. I looked over and Pandas was dead, as far as I could tell. There's a thing that security does. Here's how it works when you run a convention. The convention chairman is in charge until the moment when security goes, we got this. Security grabbed me by the chest and said, we got this. And I said, fantastic. And that's when it started. Two security officers tried to lift Pandas out of the chair. Now, if you have not met Pandas, and I do not mean this as an insult,
no.
He is one of my closest friends. It is merely a
He's
fact.
twice the man I am. By volume.
Pandas is a large mammal.
He has a presence.
He does have a presence.
And a gravitational
And a gravity well,
field.
yes.
He's robust. He's robust.
Oh, I like that.
Pandas looks like he ate meat. He's one of my best friends. He's one of my best, I'm allowed to say it. We just did a roast for Pandas, and he took it like a fucking champ. I was very impressed, especially after a few things they said when we went, damn. So there he was. He stood up. At least he started to stand up and grabbed his chair. Said, wait a minute. Chair? Chair? Chair, I farted into you 5 times and you took my shit. I love you, Chair. Chair, you support me like no woman ever could.
If you knew this guy, it would not make any more sense than it does now.
Oh yeah, no. So finally, we get him to his feet, and he fell forward just a little bit and used his hands on the table. And he stopped everyone one more time. Table! Table! You held the booze that let me become the man I am today. Table, I love you, and I love your square reasoning. All right.
That was a 4-syllable word.
Oh, no. Pandas was very articulate. He just didn't know where he was.
Where or who.
Or
okay.
why, what, when, where,
Yeah,
how. We got him to the door. He shot out his hands like a fucking rainbow mantis. He's just, BAM! Door frame, you kept the riff-raff out. Like, oh, fuck! No, it did not. We got him into the hallway, and that was my favorite part by far, because Pandas is one of the greatest con chairmen who has ever graced us. Pandas had a way, not with the convention, but with people. He kept the staff, the board of Indie FurCon together for so long, and to watch him go along the hallway and thank people who were not part of our convention for being there. Holy shit! Ma'am, thank you for being part of Indie. And he was like groping.
Was
like,
it a bridal party or what?
It was a college fraternity and their wives. Pandez copped a feel and nobody even batted
Of
an
the frat
eye.
boys? Of the frat boys or their wives?
Yes.
It was to their wives at this point.
Fine, okay.
Wow.
So Pandez finally gets to the elevator, and I'll never forget it. We get him into the elevator. He seems like he's back to normal. It's like, all right, we're going to be able to get him in bed. And all of a sudden, he just stopped us. I haven't seen anyone go to the 12th floor and just punches 12. 12 is a dozen. Sesame Street loves 12, and no one's going to the 12th floor. Fuck you! Well, he was on 7, so that means everyone else in the elevator was fucked. Well, we get him out of the elevator, we take him down the hallway, and finally we get to the door to his room. Now, I used to be a huge fan of anime. I love anime, it's amazing. And for a moment, he became Goku.
Yeah.
Because he took his arms and just went, BAM! And just sent out a shockwave that threw 2 Dorsai, myself, 3 other people. We just went into a wall like, oh, Masama-san, no! And he reached to the wall and wrapped his fingers around a fire alarm.
No.
Now, the Dorsai, myself, other board of directors, you who've been doing this forever, we have experienced everything. You know what we haven't experienced? A con chairman about to pull the fire alarm at his own convention.
That's not experience I need. Geezer, are you good without that?
Geezer, you
No,
cool?
no, I'm good. I did at the office. I'm good.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
So we,
All for you.
all me, we froze.
Yeah.
And Pandez, without missing a beat. Fire alarm! Fire alarm! You get a bad rap. Even I'm not that drunk and just stumbled into his room. I've been doing this for a long time. I've never been more scared.
So,
No, there's a fourth chair.
Someone else's turn.
cons do surveys. Okay? Starting Sunday, there's going to be a feedback survey. We want all of you to fill out. Tell us what you think about the con, how we can make it better, cooler, better costumes, fewer costumes, less clothing, whatever. And I did not say that.
More cheetahs.
And properly behaved cheetahs.
We're going to introduce you in a moment. Keep going. Sit down, Mackie.
So, we always do these surveys, and I often end up doing because I have a background in stats and all that horseshit. But anyway, I'm at an anime con, which shall remain nameless, in eastern Iowa. And I'm making the announcement of closing ceremonies. I want everyone to fill out the survey and give us something useful. And as we're going through the surveys, you learn things about some of the people who attend your convention. And there's sometimes some crying involved. So the next year at opening ceremonies, I get on stage and say, all right, we asked you what you thought. And we delivered. We improved this, we changed that, we did that. And by the way, one of you did not listen when I said we need useful feedback. Because you wrote this long letter on the back of the first survey. And it said, this con sucks. All I came here to do was get laid, and nothing happened. And it's your fault because of it's your fault because of I'm thinking, if you're this angry, I know why you didn't get laid. Okay? And the crowd loves it. It's a great story. People are laughing. You know, who would be so stupid? And at the end of the show, I'm out in the lobby, and this fellow, taller than him, wider than Pandez, stands this far away from me. I look up, and he says, that was my letter. Kids maybe 19, 20 at the top. Forgive me. In your 50s, 19, okay? Suddenly, out of nowhere, my entire operations department materializes in a circle around us. I only hire the best. Okay? And I'm thinking, well, this is going to be an interesting story someday. And I said, okay. I didn't mention your name. He said, thank you. Was I really that fucking stupid? And when a man that large asks you that question, that only the truth will do, Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry, how can I make amends? He started volunteering in Con Suite. He's now living on the West Coast, still volunteering at cons from San Francisco to San Diego. Okay? Now he gets laid. Good for him.
Gentlemen, ladies, I have another person to introduce you to. So, as from here, obviously you know that myself and him have been convention chairman. This gentleman over here will be a convention chairman, whether he likes it or not.
what?
We'll tell you later.
We're going to give you to one of the people that I know one day will unfortunately have the mantle of convention chairman. Guys, one of
I'm
my
outta here.
right-hand man for more than one convention. Let's give it up for my director of technology at First Square, director of AV, director of so many fucking things for me. Guys, let's give it up for Mackie. And if you watch Dungeons and Dragons, you know Mackie doesn't talk, so this is going to get weird.
That's because the stories he has heard, we don't want to know.
Legitimately no. The few things this guy has told me, it's like we're sitting in a meeting afterwards. We have the whole board of directors there. And my co-chairman is like, yeah, somebody had some pot in one of their rooms. I'm like, oh, that's really terrible. And he goes to me, he's like, yeah, that's really bad. We had 8 electrical fires that nobody knew about. We're great.
Yeah, actually. See, the trick is when this stuff goes down, you guys don't need to know.
Exactly.
That means we've done our jobs right and not embarrassed anyone needlessly. Now, mind you, when we drag you out of your hotel room for selling booze, and we've got you in ops, and we're saying, okay, now let's ask you the famous question: who was stupid? Why do you try to swallow when I'm speaking? Don't.
Because I can remember about 7 years ago when I got to sit staring you in the eyes in near tears and say, was I the one who did something stupid?
I never answered you, did I?
No, you did not. You're the most glorious of pricks.
Who squealed?
Fuck you.
Wrong panel.
All right, guys, let's go for the quick fire. Mackie, guys, for those of you who don't know, Mackie actually does help me out with a lot of the other conventions that I do. Mackie is a tech genius. He is the one who told me that I was causing forest fires with the extension cords I was buying.
It's true.
Yeah, no,
Don't do that.
He's very good at what he does. So, Mackie, I want you to be part of this as well. We're going to do the quick fire round. Out of context, radio calls. What is something you heard over the radio? No one. Oh, we got to start with secure operations.
Okay, hold on. If you give the quote I think you're going to do, I owe you a beer.
All right, we're about to get a beer.
Quote.
What's the strangest thing you've heard over the radio?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you got?
So, I worked in hotel relations for 2 years. And I was just a low-level flunky. This was in between going from one department to another. And I was coming on shift, got my radio, got all checked in, and we had a call from the person I was replacing who said, I think I'm coming to operations. I'm worried about the guy following me.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, we were at a 6,000 person convention with 120 people on radio. So she shows up to operations, and there are 9 men standing there. I'm the littlest of the bunch, going, who do we beat?
Yeah.
Holy
And
shit.
she looks at all of us and goes, what the hell are you doing? There's a guy following you. No, the guy who's supposed to be starting in 15 minutes.
Hold on. That's not what I think. Aowen? Was it
Oh,
Aowen?
you gotta do A1. I can't take
I
that.
can't do Aowen. I used to change that girl.
One of you do AON.
It's
I don't have the Aowen story off the top of my head. The weirdest I heard, actually, and the reaction to it,
Yes.
was it's around 9 o'clock at night on this massive pool courtyard with this huge science fiction convention, and all of us have the voices in our heads. We have the headsets on, and suddenly from ops, break, has anyone seen The Naked Woman? And there's this moment of, yes, I heard that, and suddenly everyone, I can see everyone with a headset, has just done this. Some woman had forgotten she was on new meds and had 2 drinks. And was in serious danger and forgotten she was naked and wandered out of her hotel room.
Oh, shit.
No, she was found. She's okay. She was not actually found quite quickly for some reason. But the reaction to stand down, we have found the naked lady, she is safe, she is fine, was a mix of good.
You guys, what do you got?
Can you top the naked lady?
Context. Out of
Out of
context.
context.
Oh,
Where did these mannequin legs come from?
Wait. Hold on. Was that Pharaoh Fox? Because he's running around Anthrocon with a set of prosthetic arms taped together in front of his fursuit. He's doing like this while in fursuit.
So definitely not. Mackie, would you like to tell them where the mannequin legs came from?
Well, Sears was closing. What else are they gonna do with it?
my fucking God. The Furry Squared attendees went across the parking lot.
They were doing the final take all the fixtures sale.
They bought 20 mannequins out of Sears for $20.
I do not ever come back next year and we'll tell you why once we figure it out. I do not want to know what. Yeah.
I have one of those sets of legs.
Do you want it?
Wow. So yeah, that was a radio call.
So-
Giza, what do you got?
My out of context radio call was, I gotta read this off here.
You keep a list?
I absolutely do.
I really should.
No, it's just
No, I'm not judging. I really should.
No, when we're as old as
it's
us,
long
we
for every year. No, and honestly, I have to write this shit down because some of it is epic.
You really
But the
have.
radio call was, the cops with riot shields and shotguns are here. And then I hear responses, that's an improvement. And it turned out, at this particular con, the previous year, the cops showed up with latex gloves and sample kits.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so, less sexual assault and more just actual assault than second year, so that was an improvement.
I'm never running a con in Pennsylvania. That's even, okay, yeah, fine. Maybe Crystal City, otherwise the rest of Virginia can go hang. I'm a Marylander, okay? Have a little respect here.
I'm in Philadelphia, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, we know. About Philadelphia.
Let's go with one that both of you were on the radio for.
Oh no.
This is charity to security? We have a half-naked charity bear on the info counter. Please advise.
Was it me?
No, Alkali, I'm off the hook because I was really drunk when that call came through.
I was taking pictures.
Of the half-naked bear?
What? It was adorable. We had a charity at MFF. It was glorious. Now you need to
It's back
understand.
at
This is this one.
okay.
No, it is this one.
This
was-
highest?
Yeah, this is 2015 or 16.
Oh, yeah, okay, fine.
15? Okay. We had a charity. Now you need to understand, when we get a new charity, like look, a lot of people know what furries are. It's not everyone. Sometimes you need to explain it. This charity at MFF did not know what furries were. But we explained it, and they were curious. Charity bear. Well, this charity specifically was a military charity. They rehabilitate dogs that were overseas because they need rehabilitation
Yeah.
too. And damn, the respect we had for these guys.
A different kind of service dog.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big time, different kind of service dog. And these guys were amazing. It took us one day to get to know them. They are one of the greatest charities the fandom has ever had the pleasure of raising money for. Well, they didn't know what we were. And when it first came out, they looked up. What happens when you look up furry? It's not their fault. It's not their fault.
Your eyes
Thank you.
Good.
When you first look up furry, it's not their fault. They didn't know what they were getting into. But they gave us a chance.
Good.
They, and I can say this now, the anti-homosexual group that they were, down to 2 of them that were a little iffy about going with a group that is so predominantly homosexual. It took them, from their words, 6 hours.
To get the hell over it.
Oh, yeah. This is one of the best charities I've ever seen because you want to talk about embracing the fandom. One of them embraced the fandom so hard, he went back up to a room party with a bunch of furries, got so drunk that he stripped down to his boxers, laid down on top of the info table and said, "I love dogs!"
Okay.
I need booze.
Yeah. These gentlemen, we spent the rest of the night dealing with the infamous half-naked charity bear.
Are there pictures?
There are a lot of pictures. But the part of me that I'll always remember is the gentleman that I had the opportunity and the pleasure to talk to before closing ceremonies, the gentleman that had started this particular charity. And he's not a talker. He's not a listener. He is somebody who wants to do his own thing, but truly believes in a cause. Luckily, I was lucky enough to have a bottle of Dragoner scotch that he owed me.
Okay.
So I fed him a bunch of 20-year-old scotch. We had a long conversation, and he told me what was about to happen in closing. And I got a bunch of people ready for it. Because these people who came into our convention as actual homophobes.
Yeah.
We can use that term because
Yeah.
they were the ones who called themselves that.
Right.
His son is a huge part of the fandom now, including on staff at MFF and a few other conventions. They have come to conventions where they are not the charity for, and they have never found a community like the furry community that they can call home for those and those that they care about. So that's what furries do, and I'm going to keep drinking until I stop being so sappy, so cheers.
Wow.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't help, right?
It helped, shut up.
Would you like rum instead?
Dude, that was
Maybe.
pure rum and something.
We gotta start.
But
Tequila.
my
Please,
my
hit it.
cup is empty.
Okay.
So this is a short one. The final Furry Connection North 2013. Our charity that we picked that year was the local Humane Society, and we reached out to them. Hi, we're a furry convention. We'd like to have you as our charity, and they're like, no. And we're like, what? They're like, no thanks. We're not interested. And we're just like, what the fuck? Like, this has never happened before. And they're just like, no, we're not interested in being your charity. Go away. So we found some other charity, and we raised like $20,000 or something. It was seen for them. We then photocopied the check that we sent to them and sent that to the Humane Society and said, attached to it, this could have been yours. And then the con folded. It was the ultimate rage.
Number one, bitch. And number two, well played. See, now, I want you all to imagine something. After running events like this, and knowing this level of behind-the-scenes sausage making that we do, we get to go to work after the con, and someone says, so, did you do anything interesting this weekend? And the only answer I can give is, no. Because you don't want to know.
So Charles, so you say that, but I work for a very large company.
I work in City Hall.
No, I work for a Fortune 50.
A little awkward.
And we have like diversity advocates. So I've actually been sending in pictures of like our the
Okay.
gender stickers we have at registration. I've been sending
Okay.
out all of our diversity advocates. I'm like, hey, I'm at a furry convention. Check this shit out. And I've gotten replies during the day. And they're like, oh, that's cool. Can I come? And I'm like, I'll get back to you on that.
Mackie, you've been doing this for a while now.
Tell us a story.
What's that moment? What's that moment that you remember that couldn't have happened if you weren't on staff, if you weren't on board like you are? What's that moment from behind the scenes that you remember most vividly? And if you don't remember it, I kind of have an idea of what I would assume that you remember.
It's turning colors. It's
Well,
gonna be
there's,
Mackie doesn't speak much. Mackie likes his Mackie-ness.
are we allowed to say fire on the radio?
You're a dick.
This can't be good.
You're a dick. Go for it, Mackie.
That's about it.
There are things I don't want to hear on the radio. That's the F word I never want to hear on the radio.
A con chairman has a few jobs, and one of them is to innovate. There's only a few people that are going to really make major changes to a convention, and it's hard to do from a lot of positions. But if you're a con chairman, you're kind of expected. Let's see what we can do to make everything better. And my contribution was the same thing we used to do at Nero, which was a team of people that just enjoyed themselves, did whatever they wanted to do, but were on radio 24/7. And anytime a call went out, it's like, hey, we need somebody for 5 minutes. They were there. We used to call them a flash in the pan, which got shortened to
Fire team.
fire team.
Okay.
Jeez.
So one day at the convention, the radio sounded like this. This is Hotel, the fire team. We're going to need you over in Maine. This is Alkalita Hotel. I need fire team over in secondary. This is operations. We've called the fire department.
Because that's what they're there to do.
Absolutely.
Okay. So,
It was a good concept until the name. I understand why you were angry at me. I love you, you fucking
he was right.
Mackie.
He was right.
I know he was. Fuck you.
I remember the call we got from the hotel in, it was Anthrocon 2007. Hotel calls us up and they're like, did you order any gas? And I'm like, what?
This is a classic.
I'm like, did you order any industrial gas? And I'm like what the fuck? No! What kind of con? We've been here for what? And they're like, someone is trying to bring a giant helium tank through the lobby to their room. And we're just like, no!
That was a good word. That was a great word.
No.
I never learned.
No, it was a
Yeah,
full,
I've seen the
like, it was
pictures.
full, like, 5.5 foot pressurized tank of industrial helium. And we're just like, no, don't bring that in the room. That was really weird. I don't know what happened with that.
I don't want to know what happened with
They
that.
floated
Hey, I
away.
There's,
This
I
is why
didn't
they,
see this. I'm doing it as hard as I can.
is this why they say furries are a little light on the loafers?
here's a good one. This is, I am going to tell you the advice. My friend is going to tell you the story. If you ever find yourself in a position where you are even running a department, we're not talking about con chair. We're even talking about any level of leadership. Find somebody smarter than you and put them in a position where they can help you. And that is my friend over here. Mackie is one of the smartest people I have ever had the pleasure to work with, and I would like to share with you right now how he described to me for my podcast, The Dragon Show, that we needed a new modem. He bought 5 pieces of equipment and then described to me why I needed them. Do you remember this moment, Mackie?
I do.
Would you like to tell the audience exactly what you told me when I asked you, okay, I got internet with 1 piece of technology. Why do I need all this shit? Mackie?
Well, the modem modulates and demodulates. That's one thing.
So what's this?
It's a router.
What does it do?
It routes.
Click. Why do I need that router?
To go from here to there.
Okay. What's this?
Switch.
What's a switch do?
Switch it.
What else does it do?
That's all.
Why do I need a switch?
To get from here to there.
What's this? It was the modem. I asked him what a modem was. Mackie, what's this?
So adorable.
Modem
What does it do?
modulates and demodulates.
What else does it do?
Nothing.
So instead of having 1 piece of technology that is a modem, a switch, and a router, this son of a bitch made me buy all of that, a shelf and a fan.
Yeah.
And while describing to me why I needed it, made me feel like a 2-year-old. And from that day forward, I knew that you were going to be one of the top people at my convention, because you are way smarter than me.
Do you know what the worst part of this is? I work for an internet provider, you asshole.
Well, you weren't as direct. No one has ever told me, not a joke.
No, by the way, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong at all. This has been a friend of
freaking out
mine
here.
for years. I held up, I'll never forget this as long as I live. I held out the router. I'm like, wait a minute, we have a modem with extra ports. Why do we need this? He took it from me, and without smiling, that is a router. It routes and nothing else. And put it where it belonged and plugged it in while staring me down. The internet has never been better in my house, and I'm terrified of you.
Like I said earlier, sometimes you shut up and do what your people tell you
Yes.
to do.
The hardest lesson to learn as convention chairman, people are smarter than you. It's
Yeah, because
fucking-
you said yes to the job.
Oh yeah.
Remember, recovering con chair, current con chair. Who wins?
Fuck you.
No.
Kind of like an
I'm in
after
danger
party.
of sobering.
Oh, you're
I
next.
don't like this.
You're the next con chair.
Oh, God damn it.
We are running low on time. All right.
No, we got 29 minutes.
Are
Close
we
enough.
1:30?
Yes!
We have an hour and a half.
Okay,
Yeah,
we
you
have,
didn't drink
the
caffeine?
plan was for a 1 hour panel, and we can extend if we want to.
All right, so here's how we're gonna do it, guys.
Oh no.
I need to
If
leave.
you need to leave.
Now the problem with that is, there will be no adult supervision for this panel.
All right, guys, if you
I'll
want to hear
check
a
it out.
really dirty panel from this guy,
Becky, can you keep him under control? Alright, I will talk to you guys
come here,
later.
my friend.
Okay, you be good?
It's good to see you.
Alright,
I'll
remember
see you
any
tomorrow.
stories he tells about me? I was nowhere near the place. I don't even know the girl.
It's going to be only stories about Chuck.
Okay.
Guys, if you want us to continue, it'll be only stories about Chuck's anus. Really? My bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's Charles.
Fine.
My bad. My bad.
Guards,
It's going to be
impale that.
about Charles's anus.
Whoa!
Guys, if you want us to continue, we will go a little bit longer. I'm not saying that everyone needs to donate. This is how much we've collected tonight. It's the first day of the convention. The hat's going to be passed around the room. Thank you, Giza. I'm going to throw this at you. I see your kale shirt.
Yes,
Fuck you.
thank you. I bought it at Target like right before your other panel.
Really?
We walked down to that Target. My friend said, "Hey, alkali," and I whipped around. I said, "Hell yeah!" Picked it up and I said, "I'm gonna put this on. Outfit change number 3 today." Bam! And then I was like,
For those of you who don't know, I was convention chairman at the convention that had a near riot at closing ceremonies
Which one?
to try, first squared, to try to change
which one?
the theme of year 2 to kale.
"Okay, you're at every convention I'm at, and I won't let you escape it."
Cheers, that's very nice of you. I hate you so much.
Thank you.
So the hat's being passed around. If you can give, give. If you can't give, guys, don't worry about it with furries. But just so you know what we're giving for, I had an opportunity earlier to talk to the charity, and there was one thing I took away from that. Not only are they wonderful people, but at the end of the year, they are losing their rental. They are going to have to re-sign. They have 2 options. 1, re-sign, money, obviously. 2, if they can get enough money, they're trying to buy their own property. This is what I do. I do apologize. The reason that we do this, the reason that I'm here is just to remind you guys why we are all here, and that's 2 reasons. It's twofold. 1, we are here to party, because fuck everything else.
About your party, I had a fun story.
Parties are good. And guys, number 2, before we go to his story, don't forget, we're here for the charity. Help those who can't help themselves. Giza, what is your fun story?
So the best part about going to cons that I don't work, this is not one of them. The best part about going to cons that I don't work is if things go really horribly wrong, I can just sit there at the bar and drink beer and laugh while
I hate you so much.
well, actually, I was drinking a lot at your con.
Yeah, I remember. There
So
was
do I.
an incident on Twitter
Which one?
when all the cons started arguing.
Oh yeah, when like Anthrocon and your con were getting, oh, it was great. We got a selfie. It was great. But this is not that incident. So, I can just drink at the bar while shit's happening. So, at cons I don't work, sometimes I'll get questions from people who think I staff the cons. Sometimes in person, sometimes online. I'm just like, LOL, go to con ops. They'll help you out. I'm not working this con. So, a few cons ago, I get a DM from the operations director, and he says, can you come down to con ops? Someone's looking for you. I'm like, okay, and I'd actually been talking to the mom of an attendee, and she was asking me questions pre-con, and I'm like, I'll bet it's her. So I go down, and there's a couple, guy and a girl, middle-aged. I'm like, oh, I'll bet it's a lost child, you know, and that happens at cons more and more. You know, parents show up with their kid wanders off. So I go down to ops, and I fly down the ops director, he points me to them, and I'm like, hi, I'm Giza, what can I do for you? And they say, hi, we're from the FBI. And when I was in high school, my health teacher said, there's no way to sober up quickly. If you take a shower, you look clean drunk. If you drink coffee, you go wide awake drunk. Oh no, federal agents sober you up very quickly. That's an experience. And so I kind of turned into the one guy from Fight Club where is the guy in the laundromat where he's trying to deny everything, and he's like, oh, I have no knowledge of Operation Mayhem, and if I did have any knowledge of Operation Mayhem, I could not divulge that to you at this time, sir. And I started rattling that off to them, and they said, oh no, we're not asking you questions about any con you work. We want to ask you questions about someone else, okay? And I said, it's someone you don't like. And I said, oh, really? And I became the most cooperative witness ever in the history of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And I haven't seen that person in a con since.
Haven't been around since, Giza.
Possibly. That was a fun day, let me tell you. And then I went back and drank more because, oh my God, federal agents. And the scary thing was when I saw them at first, they just looked like a random couple, like they plain clothes to the max. It was scary.
I have to admit, I think my favorite from a plainclothes was very recently. Some of you might have been there at Indy FurCon just a few weeks ago. I was about to perform on secondary stage. I was doing my stand-up show, and the head of the door side at the time, because if you're in the back office, you know who's running the door side, came and got me. He was like, hey, we need you. Like, well, you know I'm about to be on stage, so this is obviously really bad. Well, it was really bad. But in the end, the door side was smart enough to tell me, hey, Alkali, why don't you not be here for this? Because I don't get angry unless you do one very specific thing, and that is endanger my conventions. If you ever endanger a convention where we think we won't have it next year, you have made my permanent shit list. And somebody was about to enter my permanent shit list. So instead I went to the elevator at the door side's discretion, and I rode down with the sheriff or the chief or whatever he was called for whatever county IFC was in. This gentleman of the law, on the way down in the slowest elevator ever, looked over at me and said, so, what's everyone doing out here? And I looked at him and said, well, according to you, probably smoking marijuana. He's like, no, I've been here all weekend. I've been here for weddings. I've been here for conventions of cartoons, convention of toys, conventions of fishing supplies. And all of them have had more narcotics calls than you have. So I ask you again, son, what is going on here? And I said, sir, remember when you were young, you used to watch cartoons? Did you ever think Bugs Bunny was hot? Because it was 2 in the morning and I did not know what to say. I killed a fursuiter. But, my non-discretion provided for one of the most entertaining moments I've ever had in the furry fandom, because that officer of the law, said to me, "No! Daffy's way hotter."
I love it.
That's the thing about furries. That's the thing about this fandom. That's the thing about what we've chosen to do in our life. There are very few people out there who aren't furry. There's just a lot of people out there who don't actually know what we are. And to me, that's pretty fucking cool. So,
That's fucking beautiful.
guys, you have made, at first estimate, probably close to $200 for this panel. And 20 euros.
Sounds like what, $6,000?
That's not how euros work.
I don't know.
No, 6 million.
So we're getting close to that time. We got to do a group selfie.
Group selfie with us?
So yeah, we'll do a group selfie, and if you don't want your face to be in it, just dab.
Back and get in this
The
thing.
point is that it's there.
Oh, God.
Alright,
See how well I
we need
can
the
do this.
traditional.
Oh, help me, iPhone X.
We believe in you.
Oh god.
Fuzzy pickles.
I love your Earthbound reference.
Alright, see how well we can do this.
Got it?
Alright, is everyone... Oh, holy shit, there are people dabbing.
This is your fault.
This is why we can't have nice things. Alright, let's try this here. I'm gonna take a few pictures. Just...
There are plenty of other reasons why.
Oh my god, this is terrifying.
Take the photo!
I am!
He's taking like 50.
I'm taking 6,000 photos! Oh my god, there's more people dabbing.
I expect to see this on Twitter.
You're worse than this. Oh, this is horrifying! Jesus Christ, you guys! You're all terrible, I want you to know that.
Love you guys.
It takes a lot of effort to be this terrible.
Guys, here's how this is gonna work. I'm not counting that right now. I'm gonna count it a little bit. I'm gonna make sure the charity gets it tomorrow. You guys just helped us raise about $200 for charity. You're amazing. Thank you so much. So, a lot of us have been doing this for a very long time. Mackey's the new boy up here. Guys, there a story you want to hear? Oh, you're such a good boy. Guys, is there any story that you would like to hear?
He says he wants to
Oatmeal.
No, not that story.
Oatmeal!
What's oatmeal?
Motherfucker! I was kind of hoping they would get one.
Fuck out of here. Oatmeal.
Oatmeal is my fucking Groundhog Day. Here we go.
Oh my god.
Oatmeal story. The butter, yeah, actually the butter situation
Actually-
might go along a little bit longer.
Oh, butter situation is short.
Butter situation is.
I can tell that one.
Dude, please. So I'm not going. Go.
At MFF a few years, maybe 5 years ago, an attendee left on the stationary pad in his room a really angry note for housekeeping, and he was just pissed because of the location of butter in the breakfast buffet and its relative location to the pancakes and the syrup, and they had to be in a certain order, and he just ranted about it, and it actually got past hotel management, who passed an MFF leadership. And then Takaza, who is no longer with us, made up hundreds of pins that said butter situation. And he just passed them out to every staff member he knew. So a butter situation is when an attendee flips out about the placement of butter.
Yeah.
All right.
Their problem was when you put
Say
the
it.
butter,
Oatmeal.
Oh,
and then the pancakes, and then the syrup, where they wanted the pancakes on which you apply the butter, and then the syrup. It was entirely unacceptable the butter was in front of the pancake.
Christ!
How dare they?
Jesus!
This is why I have high blood pressure. One last story. The oatmeal story.
Butter waffle.
All right, let me give me a second to remember this whole fucking thing. Right? I will never forget
That
oatmeal.
was a moment ago.
You need to understand something, like these gentlemen over here, you don't start off as the board of directors, you don't start off as a leader, you start off in just a random position. That's how all of us started at most conventions. When I started off, I was in convention hospitality suite, and one year, a glorious year, I became lead of MFF hospitality suite. For those of you who don't know what hospitality suite is, that is con suite, that is food. And the year before I joined on as lead of that staff, a gentleman had decided to pitch, why don't we get a soda fountain?
By Dragger.
He's not Dragor. His dick is not nearly big enough to be Dragor. Unless it is, in which case, well done. Well, they got me a soda fountain for my first year. Now, I've never had the privilege of working at a fast food. I do not know how soda fountains work. They gave me a crash course in it, and I knew one thing. If it breaks, restart the fucking thing and hope that soda comes out. Well, one of you, a 16 or 15-year-old one of you, found that the code red was no longer dispensing seltzer water, just pure syrup. This young man put his cup under the dispenser and went as I watched liquid lifesavers fill his glass. I looked to the youth and said, I apologize, one moment, I will reset the system. And this team, this young man, with all the force of years of pain and suffering behind his eyes, said, fuck you. And filled his cup to the brim with code red syrup. Took a sip, looked at me, and stuck out a very red tongue. And I was impressed. You have to understand, that's what we go through. As a director of a department, you've been director of departments, Giza, you've been director of departments forever. It's a battle of wills, and sometimes you just have to accept it's not going to work out. At the end of the day, you do need to blow off some steam, and that's usually done amongst the board of directors, the staff, and in this case, 2 board members and a low-level staff just idiot. Because there I was in the back of house for MFF. Food all around us. Myself, the director of treasury, which was Woody at the time, and the late, great Takaza, one of the greatest directors of programming and everything else that he did at any Furry convention. And we were standing in back of house. Now this year was the year that MFF decided that they needed a liaison to radios. A gentleman whose sole job was to stop us from screaming random shit into the radios. Because on this particular year, randomly over the radio, you'd hear DuckTales, and about 20 people would yell out, yeah. So that was going on. Woody, director of finance. Takaza, who at the time I believe was either director of dealers then or something else that was batshit crazy. We needed to relax. And that relaxation came in the form of DuckTales! Because the radio was legitimately funny. Woody grabs his radio and says, aeroplanes and something planes and DuckTales, and everyone so. Well, that started a landslide of activity because everyone started yelling into the radio. We were laughing. We needed it. And my fat ass, slid up onto the counter. knocked over a bowl of instant oatmeal
Oh no.
all over the floor. I grabbed my radio, said, "This is Alkaline to security, the oatmeal has been spilled." Woody, the director of finance, sitting an arm's length from me, goes white as a ghost. He can't breathe because he's trying to laugh, but the oxygen is no longer getting to his lungs. I look over at Takaza, a good friend of mine, who has tears running down his face, trying to tell me something. "This is security to Alkali. Alkali, where has the oatmeal been spilled?" "This is Alkali. It's everywhere." "This is security. We demand radio silence. Alkali, where are we meeting you?" "By the oatmeal." Woody was the first one to catch his breath. The director of the Treasury. "Alkali, oatmeal is code for money." I've been doing this for a very long time. At any given time during the convention, there are envelopes of currency on me that equal an amount that is totally not okay to carry on me. And I had just told not only all of security, but everyone on the radio that Alkali, the charity generating ferret, had spilled the money everywhere. "This is Alkali. False alarm. I didn't know the code." But sometimes you learn from your mistakes. I had a glorious lesson that day, and that is, be brave enough to try out, to make it into staff, to make it into a director, to make it up as the board of the convention. Because sometimes everything works out. Because on that day, MFF banned me from using a radio for 2 years, and it was the 2 best years of MFF. Guys, I want to get up for Charles, Giza, Mackie. My name is Alkali. This has been Convention Archive. Thank you very much, and good night.
Silver Gatoman, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gatoman, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gatoman, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.